there, and welcome to another episode of Home Tech. Jason Griffin here. So happy to be with you. Joined again by Seth. Seth, what's going on?
I'm in Infocom, Jason. I'm sitting outside in Orlando, Florida.
How's the weather?
Hot. You can just say that about Florida at any time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was hoping to get to Infocom, but unfortunately, scheduling didn't work out this year. And the day I thought I was going to go, just all sorts of fun things at work came up, and it's a 2-hour drive from here, 2-hour drive back. Just didn't feel like it. So,
yeah, no, I know we were kind of talking about that this week through emails and whatnot, and we were thinking that you might be up there, and maybe we could try to cover a couple of stories, related to residential. Infocom is really a commercial integrator show. It's really more about commercial integration, but there's always interesting stories. There's so much overlap in the technology between commercial and home technology that we were kind of both hoping that you could be up there this week and kind of check things out. But in any event, we're certainly keeping an eye on it from just following Twitter feeds and blogs and whatnot, and looking forward to potentially next week kind of sharing some of our thoughts on what maybe some of the big takeaways from Infocom might be for fans of home technology.
Yeah, this year there were pretty, the keynote was on the Internet of Things, and there was a lot of neat, they had drones there. I really wanted to go and see all the drones flying around.
Drones are big this year. Yeah. They had a whole drone pavilion, right?
Yeah, and a ton of drone training. I don't know what that would have been about. Maybe you get to fly them around. I'm not sure. But it sounded like a really cool show this year. I was hoping to get up there because it's not very far away, honestly. But like I said, just a little bit too busy. One thing I did see that was really cool that came out of it, Just Add Power released a tiling video player, if that makes any sense. If you're familiar with Just Add Power, it's a HDMI over IP based solution. But they came out with this really cool video tiling device that the way it looks, you can plug it in. It can put up 4 different video sources on the same TV at one time, and you can kind of select back and forth. It can do hold on to your seat, Jason. It can do picture in picture. This is the latest. This is the new buzzword of
this is
2015.
PIP's making a comeback.
Yeah, 2015 is the year of picture in picture. So I'm totally excited about this product because we've done a bunch of video walls in the past, but you have that problem when you use multiple TVs where you have the bezel that pops up in between the TVs and it looks kind of awkward. But this way you could use one large format TV and put 4 screens on it at one time, and they're all pretty crystal clear 1080p or 4K reproductions.
Well, that's one of the coolest things. Savant has one of these offerings of a video tiling solution, and you marry that with a really nice 4K TV, and you basically have 4 1080p TVs on one display, right?
That's killer.
Because you've got 4 times the pixels to begin with, and it's a solution I think we're going to start to see more and more of. I don't think it's going to be ever a mainstream thing in the home, but video tiling, if you're not familiar with it, you can kind of do a Google search and poke around and learn a little bit about it. But it's awesome. I mean, I've seen the Savant solution in action only really on trade show floors. It's not something that even we're integrators here at the very high end of the market, and even we're not doing it very often in the home, but it is an awesome deal. I mean, to be able to have one display and kind of put up a bunch of different sources on there, and with the Savant solution you can kind of drag them around on the iPad and reposition them on the screen, and it'll mirror what you're doing up on the display. And very, very cool deal. I saw a couple headlines about the Just Add Power thing at Infocom. I haven't had a chance, I have to admit, to dive in and read about what they're offering, but their offering is pretty unique, just even from a core standpoint of, Just Add Power is HDMI over IP, which in and of itself is a pretty cool technology and something that's worth paying attention to. And Yeah, I think so far of what I've seen come across my feeds for Infocom, that was probably one of the stories that caught my eye the most.
Yeah, and like you said, it's mostly a professional trade show. I've been to one before. There were tons of video screens, tons of big giant projectors the size of your refrigerator, and they were stacked on top of each other to double the brightness. Pretty crazy things you can do with those. But for the home, there's not much. I mean, there wasn't much that was going on that year. I've heard that it's a pretty big show this year, and I wanted to get to it, but we'll just have to watch the press releases like everybody else and see if we see anything interesting.
Yeah, but that was one of the interesting things that I saw when I was researching Infocom, was that the keynote, like you alluded to, was going to be about the Internet of Things and connectivity, and there's just so much overlap there with what's going on in the home. And I thought that was really interesting, just to kind of, especially for our integrators in the audience, to sort of think about. It's food for thought, how all of this connectivity plays into commercial settings and not just in the home. And there's a lot of overlap. But yeah, Infocom is definitely at its core. It's a commercial integrators trade show, and CEDIA is more for the residential guys. And it's just one of those things, though. If you're into technology and you're into what's going on in home tech, then yeah, Infocom, I think, is something you should be paying at least a little bit of attention to.
Do you on a day-to-day basis, do you do any commercial work, or is it pretty much primarily residential?
Yeah, we're pretty much residential. We super light commercial,
right?
If it comes along, a lot of times, in my experience, it's been if we are doing commercial, it's usually for one of like our trade partners, an architect or designer or builder. They need some TVs or network or phone system done in their office, and we do a fair amount of that for partners and people that we work with. But yeah, we're certainly not out there pursuing commercial work, at least not where I currently work. Like we've talked about, I'm relocating pretty soon, and I'll be starting a new position. But yeah, currently we're pretty much all, I'd say, residential.
Cool.
I don't know. What about you?
It's kind of the same. We do a lot of residential, and I'd probably say it's like 5% commercial. Couple of boardrooms here and there. A little bit of like sports bars and bigger things like that that come up from time to time. Restaurants, that kind of thing. But it's office work here and there, but mostly, residential.
Yep. Well, anyways, we'll talk a little bit more about Infocom potentially next week if we kind of see some stories that come across that we think are relevant. But for tonight, we got a couple of stories we wanted to touch on, and one, I think we Seth, you and I were sort of planning on potentially having more to kick around related to this Nest press conference.
Oh man, I just can't believe it was a fake out to me. Like I was pumped. I was ready for the complete Nest home automation package to come out and be released, and I was excited. And then I had a meeting pop up, and I couldn't watch the little live stream or whatever, but people are broadcasting. I get back and see all these tweets that were just disappointed people.
Yeah.
I guess first we should probably talk about maybe the thermostat. Like, no new update at all. No remote temperature sensors. Nothing.
Yeah. Surprising. I mean, I know Ecobee has been gaining a ton of traction in the market. A lot of people are talking about Ecobee, and one of their big selling points over really, I don't know, any other thermostat I can think of, but at least over Nest is, remote temp sensors, wireless little sensors you can stick on the wall throughout your apartment or home and kind of sense the temperature in multiple rooms. And, it does what it can to sort of normalize that based on some algorithms and understanding your movement throughout the house. And obviously it's not a replacement for like a true multi-zone HVAC system, but still a really nice feature to have. And very surprised that Nest still hasn't come out with this. I mean, I can't imagine that they're not fielding requests from customers constantly for this feature. It just is. It seems like a no-brainer to me. So I have to admit, I was very surprised that there was zero update to the thermostat.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. Unless they're holding out for something later in the year, we can all cross our fingers on that. They did kind of, I guess last year they talked about moving over to the Thread, and I suppose that's the Zigbee, kind of the Zigbee related wireless control protocol that they want to use.
Yep.
And I suppose if that's not ready, then maybe they can't release any sensors that would attach to it. I don't know. I'm just perplexed as to why a $3.2 billion company in about a year hasn't done much. It's just there's got to be some build up there, and this was a complete letdown.
I agree. I mean, I think there's got to be something in the works in terms of a broader initiative, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying that. But yeah, this press conference, I really thought, we might see something very exciting from them, but I don't know. I don't even know what to try to get excited about. I mean, the only thing they really released, like we've already talked about, they didn't do anything with the thermostat. They released the Nest Cam. And the thing about this is, like, it's, Nest, shortly after they were acquired by Google, then Nest, everybody kind of knew it was like Google acquired Dropcam, but really it was like in the news, it was like Nest acquired Dropcam. They're all kind of one big company now, of course. And really this Nest Cam is like a glorified Dropcam. I mean, they didn't do a whole lot with it that's there to get excited about it. It does 1080p over 720, and the design is a little bit different in terms of the industrial design, but there was nothing else that I could find that really was worth even like mentioning as far as a difference between the Nest Cam and the Dropcam. It was kind of disappointing.
They did announce some type of service that you could pay for that would kind of upload the videos to the cloud there, and I think there were like
but Dropcam has that.
But there were analytics or something that were built into it now, like not on the camera but on the cloud. So
okay,
maybe that's a little bit more compelling. I don't know how I feel about that.
But that seems a little bit like esoteric. Like you'd have to be a pretty, savvy consumer to really dive in and realize that was a substantial thing, right? I mean,
the 99% of the product looked exactly the same.
Yeah. It's like they kind of redesigned the base and then they made it do 1080 instead of 720. And that was about all I could tell. And I talk about this as a home technology professional, as a home technology enthusiast, and as somebody who just a couple short months ago bought 2 Dropcams. And, you would expect me to maybe be a little bit frustrated, like, oh, I just bought 2 of these and now they released this major update. But no, it's like I'm really impartial to it. I mean, the difference between 720 and 1080 resolution, when the only thing I'm viewing this camera on is like my iPhone, and the extra resolution to me is just, it's not a big deal. Like, it's really not. Obviously, there's no reason I would ever buy the one I have versus the new one if I was just starting out, but there's really nothing there that I was like excited about as far as a new product goes.
Well, they did also update the Nest Protect, which is their powered and battery operated smoke detector, I guess. The one that's famous for going crazy and you have to wave to it to shut it off. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this was a big story. Gosh, I don't even know. Maybe 6 months ago, I'm guessing. But the Nest Protect has been out for a while. It's a smoke detect. It's essentially like a connected smoke alarm. It does carbon monoxide sensing as well. And there was this feature that they had where you could wave at it if you wanted to disable it. So sometimes you get a false alarm. Like I know here where we live, it's super annoying because anytime we cook in the kitchen, pretty much our smoke alarm goes off.
Right.
And so we have to like close the door to the hallway every time we want to use the stove. And it's very annoying. And that was the thought behind this feature. It was like, well, if you get a false alarm, you can kind of wave at it what they ended up finding out was that could accidentally or inadvertently be, that feature could be activated in the event of an actual fire. So you might be running around like literally in a panic because your place is on fire, and you could wave the smoke alarm off, or I don't know, maybe even the flames or something. But anyways, it was a safety issue, and that feature has since gone away. And there's sort of speculation on this Generation 2 thing that's never going to come back. But other than that, again, on this product, there wasn't a whole lot to really focus on, right? I mean, I didn't see much in the stories about this Generation 2 product that really made me think it was a substantial difference from the original.
The only thing I think that might be a little bit different is the price. This one's saying it's going to be $100, and I don't remember exactly. I thought the Nest Protect originally was $120 or $129, but yeah. I could be wrong.
I actually don't even remember. The only other thing I saw was that it had this split spectrum sensor is what they're calling it. And I guess the idea behind this thing is that it could tell the difference between, and I'm quoting from an article I read here, a fast and slow fire. And I guess by being able to tell that difference, I don't know, maybe it could trigger a different alarm, but the author of this article made a good point. He's like, I don't see how useful that is. I mean,
a fire is a fire.
If there's a fire in my apartment, like I'm reacting the same way.
Right.
Like, it's like fast or slow. Like, I don't know. So there was this split spectrum sensor that they were kind of touting, and I guess maybe trying to use it as a selling point, but I don't really understand why that is significant.
Maybe it's maybe some smoke alarms might have a tough time sensing slow-moving fires rather than fast-moving fires. I'm not sure, but
and maybe there's somebody listening. Maybe we have a listener who's more familiar with, these sort of systems, putting in fire alarms and that sort of thing. And I would be curious to know, like, if that is a common industry term and if that's significant to people who do these sort of systems for a living. Like, certainly you could reach out to us and let us know through our website, HomeTech.fm/feedback, or even on Twitter at HomeTech Podcast. But yeah, to me, I don't know. I was trying to make, kind of connect the dots in my head about why this is significant. And it was another one of these things, just like the camera and the thermostat. I was a little bit underwhelmed.
Right. Well, what if I told you that I could get you one for free?
Please tell me more.
I saw this buried at the bottom of their press release. They're teaming up with American Family and Liberty Mutual. So if you have one of those insurance companies for your home, they're partnering up with them, and you can either get the Nest Protect at no cost, or you can get a discount on it, up to 5% of your homeowner's insurance. So that's not terrible at all. Any little bit of money you can save over the year, that always helps.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to a broader interest of insurance companies in the smart home, and that's one of the compelling use cases of the smart home. You've got people like you and me and some of the fans of our show who are into technology in the home, I guess, sort of for the sake of technology. Like, we just enjoy it. We like to tinker. We think it enriches our homes with AV or, audio, video, and these sort of things. But like, insurance companies have a real vested interest in a smarter home, and something that can monitor for fire, or you've seen this example with like Smart Things. That was the whole genesis of Smart Things as a company. Was the founder of the company had a second home, like a vacation home, that suffered massive damage from a water leak, and that was the whole reason why he even came up with the idea for Smart Things. And so there's this vested interest in a more intelligent home that could prevent a lot of real damage. And I think this is an interesting aspect to the whole smart home story in general, is how insurance companies are kind of interested in offering incentives to kind of get people on board, because there's real value there in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we kind of joke around, but I mean, $100 or whatever. I mean, if you pay $20 for 3 of the dumb smoke detectors, like, if it saves your life or saves your property, it's pretty priceless, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good thing. And one more thing, you kind of touched on it, like being a smart home. Like, one thing I really noticed with this event and with the video that Nest posted after this event, they seem to be kind of pushing themselves and rebranding themselves as actually a home automation company. Like this video was very cryptic about devices to come, and they show people turning on their lights, and one lady had a blow dryer, which I thought was interesting. Maybe we're gonna have a connected blow dryer or something.
Yeah, it was like the thoughtful home commercial that we tweeted out. You could. We tweeted out a link. We'll include it in the show notes at HomeTech.fm. You can go check that out. But yeah, it was basically a commercial, I believe. I don't know if it's one that's going to air on TV or anything, but it was the idea of a thoughtful home and a broader initiative. And it, like you said, kind of cryptic, sort of alluded to Nest being a broader platform for a connected home, and how there's a lot of little things, a little technology around your home that for years hasn't been designed. And that was the whole idea behind the thermostat. And I think we're going to continue to see Nest innovate, but I just was disappointed that we didn't see more of that now.
Right. And I want to kind of point out that part right there, the thoughtful home. That's what they're seem to be rebranding around. When Nest came out 2 or 3 years ago, they were a thermostat, and I think that's what most people know them to be. If you ask the regular Joe Schmo in Home Depot, what the heck is a Nest, they'll go over and they'll point to the thermostat, because it's right there on the end cap. But Nest, as the name implies, is kind of a bigger idea. And even from day one, the little Nest logo had a little home drawn around it. So I'm hoping, and I'm excited to see them finally start talking about these things, and maybe they're just kind of waiting on more product to come out, either around that thread, or either get thread out into the market a little bit more, because one of the scenes in that video did have one of those big ass fans running, the haiku fans running in the room. So that'd be really cool to see them kind of move into the home automation world too.
Well, we will look forward to seeing more. I've been, had this press conference on my calendar for weeks and was a little bit disappointed today. But I'm sure there's stuff going on behind the scenes, and ultimately Nest is going to be there, right? I mean, they're $3.2 billion company now, so they've got to do something.
They got to do something.
But we'll wait and see. This one was kind of a snoozer, in my opinion. Moving on to companies that have been, I don't know, a little bit disappointing. We've seen news from sort of across the tech space that Quirky and the Wink Hub, which if you're not familiar, is a home automation hub that was put out. This company Quirky, we'll kind of dive into some of the details, but sort of how the relationship between Quirky and Wink works. But essentially, this Wink home automation hub was put out by Quirky, and it's kind of been I shouldn't say kind of, it's really been a big sort of disappointment in the smart home market.
Yeah, they had a couple of scandals, I think. Well, not really a scandals. They came out super low price. They tried to 1 year, I think they came out last year. It was, you could buy 2 devices that worked with it and pick up the hub for 99 cents
at Home Depot.
Yeah, and then a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now, time has been flying, but they had that issue with the security certificate where they didn't update it, and I want to say there was another complaint or two about them, but.
I mean, there was a ton of complaints. So basically, Quirky is this company that's kind of backed by, well, gosh, I shouldn't speak out of turn because I don't fully understand the relationship between Quirky and GE, General Electric, but I know that Quirky is this, where they started was they were this platform where people could kind of come onto Quirky and sort of submit their inventions and their ideas for sort of what would be a cool product. And then this platform would kind of help them get funded and they could bring these products to market. And I think what happened eventually is they started seeing all of this interest in the connected home and smart home technology. And ultimately that led to the Wink Home Automation Hub, which eventually they put out as sort of their own little product. And like you said, when it first came out, they were selling this thing. They got a deal with Home Depot, and it was, you could buy a couple of Wink connected products and you get this hub for $1 or 99 cents or whatever it was. And there was a lot of buzz around it. I mean, I was close to buying one myself. I thought it looked like a pretty compelling offering, and I'm very glad I didn't, because shortly after it had come out, you started hearing all of these things online about just really brutal reviews on like Amazon, and people were just having a horrible time trying to get this thing to connect to products that it was supposed to support. I mean, they weren't doing anything that was outside of what the product said it could do. They were just trying to, they brought this thing home and they wanted to get it to connect to particular products, and just were having a really tough time doing that. And generally speaking, it just was not received well in the market. Got a couple of really scathing reviews, and it just sort of been a fiasco. I mean, if you really follow the space, you know about it. And the Wink Hub has really kind of been just sort of a fiasco for the company. And we're hearing now stories that Quirky may try to just be sort of formally bowing out and disconnecting itself from the Wink Hub. And to me, not a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of reading through this Gizmodo article, and it says, Quirky's a startup. I guess GE was just one of the major investors in it early on. They invested $30 million. And they raised $79 million. And up to this point, the Quirky company, which owns Wink as well, has burned through $150 million. So,
wow.
Yeah. They haven't sold 150 million smart hubs. So
yeah,
they're looking for a buyer. And it says
Yeah.
Quirky is also looking for even more VC money to stay afloat. So it may be a bigger problem with Quirky and not so much with Wink. But there definitely were issues with Wink and continued to be issues with Wink. But I think you and I take a step back, and the graveyard of home automation companies.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many products I've bought, and then a year later the company is out of business. And this wasn't a dollar hub that I picked up at Home Depot. These were like $10,000 automation systems.
Yeah, expensive. Companies that, at least on paper, had a sustainable business model.
Right. Their product just didn't take off for whatever reason, or they just couldn't get it to work. And I think the takeaway from this is just that, this is going to happen. Like, this is part of this process. We're still in the Wild West. We're still having companies just throw stuff out there and see what sticks to the wall. And you're going to see companies fail, and that's just going to be part of this process. And whatever gets refined and floats to the top here will be the cream of the crop.
Yeah, and thankfully now, you're dealing with, as a consumer, you're dealing with a pretty minor investment, and that's kind of the silver lining. I mean, if you went out and bought a Quirky hub, I mean, what did you spend? $1? Or at your worst case scenario, I think maybe these things were going for like under $100. So you're going to see this shakeout. I mean, like you said, we're still in the Wild West of the DIY smart home, and really there's going to be this sort of consolidation, and sort of companies are going to come and companies are going to go, and you're going to see real competitors rise to the top. And I think it's pretty safe to say that Wink just isn't going to work out. I mean, I know that I wouldn't be rushing out to buy one, right? I mean,
no.
I don't even know if these things are still on the market. And like you said, having worked in the smart home for as long as I have, and there's a reason why companies charge good money for products that they need to stand behind, because this is a difficult industry. I mean, it's getting easier, and that's why we're seeing prices come down, and we're seeing more people bring products to market, because it is getting easier from a technology standpoint to provide these sort of solutions. But really, when it comes to actually doing this at scale and doing a product that you can support, it's very difficult. And we're going to see companies come and companies go. And I think this is just a perfect example of that. And like you said, it's just going to take some time for all this to shake out.
Yeah, I mean, historically, if I think back, like when I first started doing this, the home network did not exist. Like it was extremely rare for somebody to have Cat 5 run into their house, or a hardwired network, or even wireless network for that matter, in their home. Most likely they use dial-up networking or dial-up computing. And now the home network, okay, that's in place. It's figured out. There's a foundation there to build all these little nice Internet of Things devices on top of. And that's been a huge transition. I mean, that's why so many very expensive systems on our end have failed, is because they were literally trying to invent the network. I can think of one, Colorado VNet. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Like they tried to invent a completely newish network for communication between devices. And I mean, it's like nowadays we would just kind of take that for granted,
Right.
And those systems weren't cheap. Like it wasn't a small investment for a homeowner to put money into. Nowadays, I think it's a lot safer. I mean, I know it's a lot safer to buy any one of the mainstream items, and heck, even some of these, off-brand items are still pretty good. If you're buying some strange switch that has Z-Wave built into it, it's still a Z-Wave switch. You can still control it. So I think it's a much safer environment to be in as a buyer these days. And
it is.
Yeah.
It is, but I mean, it's still like that sort of question. If you're, I know that this kind of perplexes people and it stresses people out. If you're in the market and you're looking to, maybe you're building a home, or you're remodeling your current home, and you're trying to decide, like, do I go with a DIY solution? Because I want my home to be intelligent. I want a connected home. Do I go with a DIY solution, or do I go spend 4, 5, 10 times as much on a solution like Control 4 or Savant or Crestron? And this is one of the things you have to consider. I mean, honestly, there's a reason why Control 4 or Savant or Crestron can cost so much more than Wink or SmartThings or whatever, because these companies like Control 4 have to put out a product that they can stand behind and support, and that they have to run like a profitable business. Whereas you have startups like Wink who are just sort of throwing stuff at the wall and going to see if it sticks. And some of those offerings turn out to be really great products that add a ton of value to people's homes, and others just crash and burn. And you got to choose like where you're going to place your bets, right?
Yeah, I guess to some extent you do. I think you'd be pretty safe going with any of the main lines of like lighting control. So any of the Z-Wave ones, Insteon and Lutron, I think you're good to go.
You're right. But I would almost put those into a separate category,
right?
Like we've talked about before. Like those are like the enthusiasts, like the people who really enjoy tinkering.
But I guess what you're asking is like the hub of the house. Like, where do you go with that? Do you go to a Control 4? Do you go to?
I'm saying if you're a consumer who doesn't want to spend, a couple hours a week just tinkering with your home automation system, you just want something that you install, and maybe you got to do some configuration at the front end, but ultimately you get it to a point where it just works, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. It's sort of like, I don't know, I put Insteon and things like that in a category of like people who just enjoy smart home as almost a hobby, right? And I'm talking about people who don't want to think about it on a regular basis.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And so that's where you would go and pay a little bit more to have what we would call a professionally installed system, like a Control 4, Crestron, Savant, etc.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of these companies are trying to. My point is, I think that's what a lot of these companies are trying to promise, is this system that you sort of buy and it's super easy to set up, and then you just don't have to think about it anymore.
Oh yeah, you got to be crazy if you think that's going to happen anytime soon. And it's coming, but it's not here today.
That just doesn't exist. But at least if you go spend the extra money for maybe a Savant system and somebody to come and install it for you, at least you have somebody to call when it doesn't work.
Right. You don't have to call your brother-in-law or whatever. Like,
yeah. anyways, I'm saying it's interesting to draw these comparisons about business models, because that's really where you and I come into the smart home, and where we think about it, and our background is in professionally installed home automation. I mean, that's what we do. We live and breathe it every day, and we're interested to see what these other products can bring to the market. And this is, I think, is a perfect example of where a product fails to live up to its hype.
Yeah, I think so. And well, maybe someone will come along and purchase the Wink technology for pennies on the dollar, and integrate or come up with a new product altogether. And that would be cool. That would be kind of the best of both worlds, I suppose. But be prepared. It's not unheard of for these things to just disappear. That's
true. Well, anyways, Seth, I think those were really the two stories we wanted to touch on this week. Like we alluded to at the beginning of the show, Infocom's going on right now, and if we see anything kind of come across that we feel like is relevant to home technology, we're certainly going to be keeping an eye on that, and look forward to potentially chatting about it next week. But right now, I think that we were really hoping for more out of the Nest press conference, and it just kind of was like, it is what it is, I guess.
Oh, well, on to next week.
That's it. So anyways, if you're listening, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you have any feedback, suggestions, comments for the show, you can hop over to our website. We would love to hear from you. We read all of those emails. You can go to HomeTech.fm/feedback. Also on Twitter at HomeTech Podcast. You can follow us there, or tweet at us if you have any ideas, and again, we try to reply to all those. We really enjoy hearing from our audience, and I think with that, Seth, we can kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great talking to you this week, and we'll try and touch base next week and see if anything comes up after Infocom that we just have to talk about.
Yep, you got it, Seth. I'll look forward to talking to you next week.